Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple, and we have some wonderful pitching performances to talk about on the baseball diamond. We managed to get athletes from all four of our schools into the studio the first time ever. But first, Steve Willits, we need to talk about our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers.
Always important to talk about Red Onion Burgers, and again, we appreciate their support. Great burgers, talked about the shakes.
Great support in the community.
Yeah, whatever you need. There are a lot of different foods.
Yep.
We always thank Sean and Lorraine for everything that they do. And hey, they're hiring right now too. So
I heard that.
If anybody's looking for a job right now, head on over to 212th and 44th. Make sure you grab some food while you're there. I'll recommend the Baconator. How does that sound?
Sounds
always
fine.
Always a good choice. And yeah, find yourself a meal and a job all at the same time.
Wow, new tagline. Okay. So, where do we start? We start with baseball then.
Yeah, big week for baseball. You mentioned it earlier, a lot of pitching. The pitching mainly came in the Edmonds-Woodway Lynnwood series. That was a 3-game series that we teased a little bit last week, talking about how vital it was to both of those teams who are fighting not only for playoff spots, but also for placement, and in terms of what that means for districts coming up in a couple weeks. And 3 different games last week, 3 shutouts in all 3 games. Start off with the Tuesday game, Edmonds-Woodway defeating Lynnwood 10-0. Nick Hull, who has been on fire lately, threw a 1-hit shutout. I think Nick had I guess he had a no-hitter just a few weeks ago against Shorecrest, so not a bad day for Nick. On Wednesday, Lynnwood returned the favor. They defeated Edmonds-Woodway 1-0. Now, in that game, Brady Edwards pitched for Edmonds-Woodway. A phenomenal job by him, but he did give up the 1 run. Gave up the run to Bryce Foster. Bryce was on the mound, but Bryce was also swinging the bat as well. Bryce had a triple in the game to hit in the only run of the entire ball game, and then he pitched a complete game shutout. So a nice job by Bryce. And then on Friday, Edmonds-Woodway defeats Lynnwood 5-0. Brandon Mitchell, who I should mention had a few RBI in the game on Tuesday also. Brandon stepped onto the mound, and he threw a 4-hit shutout, struck out 6, and also had 2 RBI to help his own cause. So right now, Edmonds-Woodway with a slight lead over Lynnwood and Glacier Peak for second place. They're all chasing Shorewood right now. Lynnwood and Shorewood play each other this week, so that could change.
That'll be good.
And while we're at it, we should also mention Mountlake Terrace. Looking like it might be a little too late for them, but they are making a late push. They had a 3-game sweep over Shorecrest. Combine that with their game the final game of their Shorewood series the previous week, Mountlake Terrace riding a 4-game winning streak heading into the end of the year.
Very good. Well, that should bode well, the pitching performances for any of those teams that do make it into the playoffs, because everybody says if you have good pitching, you have a good shot.
It can take you very far.
Yes, it can. All right. So we have some track interviews. We got a few of the outstanding track athletes into the studio, and talk more about that.
Yeah, it's been a great year so far for Edmonds School District track in general. And we brought in a few of those athletes today to talk a little bit about their seasons and beyond, for that matter, too. Some of these athletes are going to be playing or running in college. Some are just going to college, as you'll find out here in a moment with these interviews. But we brought 4 of our better track athletes in the area in for interviews today. 2 with Lynnwood, 2 with Meadowdale. Here are those interviews. The Lynnwood Royals girls track and field team is strong again this year. A couple of state champions from last year with us right now. Malia Pivec, Rita Sakharov. Thank you for joining us today. We need to talk about a few different things, but first and foremost, big weekend coming up for you next Saturday. A potential state record is on the line. Malia, this is the 4x800 relay, correct?
Correct.
Now, this is a distance that you know fairly well. This young lady sitting next to you, though, not so much. Rita, you're used to running shorter distances. What did it take to get you to come over and run the 4x800 next week?
Well, Coach Lewis planted the seed in my head that I'd be running it, and I was like, at first, I really didn't want to. It's not something I'm used to. It's not something that I'm comfortable pacing myself with. But then Malia, Michaela, and Jordan all kind of pushed me, and they were like, we know you can do it. We know it's hard, but you just got to push through. And that's one of the things that I have when I run is I'm a real big competitor when I run. I don't like getting bad spots. I like doing my best. So they really pushed me, and I know Jordan doesn't really normally run an 800, so I knew if she could do it, then I could do it too. So it was a lot of teammates to push me to do it. Yeah,
the teammates that she's mentioning are Malia Pivec and also her sister Michaela Pivec. Jordan Edwards also, multiple state champions there from last year's track and field in 2015. We should go ahead and give your biographies here a little bit in terms of track and field. We'll start with you, Malia, and I think we have a picture of you there we're going to put on the screen right now. Now, Malia, last year you took second in the 3200 at the state tournament.
Yeah.
You took fourth in the 1600. I guess right off the bat, right now you're ranked number 1 in the state in the 3200, and I think your best time is like 20 seconds ahead of your next competitor. How excited are you about the 3200 right now and what you've been able to accomplish?
I'm pumped for this year. Cross-country season was a big confidence booster, and I'm excited to race some kids. That Jordan Oaks, who beat me last year, she's been focusing on like the 800 and the 1600, but I know her speed will help her in the longer distance, so she may choose to do the 16 and 8, which will bode well for me. But I'm excited to compete.
Okay, and now Rita, you were third in the 3x300 hurdles last year. I think we also have, both of you were state champions together in the 4x400. Talk to me a little bit about your season, how things are going so far, and maybe some of your goals for the upcoming year.
My season's going pretty well so far. Last week at Easton, I placed first in 300 hurdles, which that was a confidence booster for me. This week was a bit harder, Bellevue Invite. There's a lot of teams we don't typically see, like a lot of 4A schools that we don't typically run against. So having that competition definitely pushed me. I got my season best, 45.5 this week, and I'm hoping to just keep improving. That's the closest I've gotten to my all-time best, which was 45.05 last year at state.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you also hold the school record now for the 100 hurdles, which you recently said.
I did. That was also last weekend, and that felt really good. I mean, the biggest thing was I finally started three-stepping, so that really helped me, and I went from a 16.2 to a 15.8, so that was a big PR for me.
Made all the difference. Now, Malia, you hold the school record in the 3200. Whose record did you break?
My coach, Stephanie Malnak, her record was 11:04 going into my freshman year, and I dropped it to 10:52 my freshman year, and then last year I took another 12 seconds off of it and dropped it to 10:40.
So how does Stephanie feel about all this? Has she forgiven you for breaking her school record?
At first, she might have been a little hurt, but I think she's forgiven me because she's coached me and she knows my potential. She was very happy when I broke it. We took a picture, me and her, standing right next to each other before we scraped off the slack.
Very nice. Now, the 1600, again, we talked about it a little bit. The top 6 runners from last year, I think, are all back.
Yes.
One of which is your sister, who beat you by 1 place last year at state. I guess the first question is, what's the competition like between you and Michaela? And then number 2, what kind of a time is it going to take for you to get back into the top 3 or 4 this year?
Top 3 or 4, probably sub 453, 452 range. People are running pretty quick this year. Michaela and me, we're pretty competitive with each other, but we like to push each other and we're happy for each other no matter where we are. Usually I like to lead. I like to go out strong in those first 3 laps, and Michaela has the good, fast, quick twitch fibers, and she likes to take the lead over in the 4th lap. But just try to hold on as long as I can.
Now, and so you're going to be competing for state there. Rita, another thing that you do is the 4x200. We do have a picture of Rita also we want to put up on the screen there. You competing earlier this year. What's it going to take for you guys to compete at the 4x200 this year?
I mean, we're in 3A we're ranked first, which I'm really proud of. Last year we didn't get that far. This year we have one of our new teammates, Valerie Bell, that's running, and she's definitely been a key member in the 4x2. And I just hope that we just keep pushing harder and just to get to state this year. And
how about some other teammates that you have that have been doing really well? We've got a picture of Abby Yamani, I think, that we can put up. Just recently set her PR in the high jump.
4.4, I believe.
Yeah, very nice. Some other names that we should know that have been placing this year and doing well?
Emily Smatlock in the girls' javelin.
Oh, yeah.
She's thrown 120, and the minimum distance, or if you throw, automatic qualifying distance for state is 119.9. So if she throws 120 at the district meet, she'll automatically go, and that she didn't make it to the state meet last year, so that could add extra points.
And one other question I have to ask you, Malia, I was tipped off on this one. I know, again, you and your sister Michaela always competing at the 1600. You're not the only 2 1600 members of the family, though, are you? I understand that Mom, who was formerly Pam Podler, did I get it right?
Yeah.
From Redmond High School back in the early 80s, was a state champion in the 1600 and the 3200. Where do your times rank in regards to Mom, and how much competition is there amongst you and talking with your mom about things?
Well, right now I'm behind my mom and behind my sister. But my mom ran a 10:30 in the 2 mile, and she also ran 4:53 in the mile. So we're still chasing her, but she ran those her senior year. So I think we can catch her.
And something tells me, knowing the Pivec family, if you did in fact beat Mom, I think she'd be pretty proud of you anyway. I think she'd be okay with that. Well, hey, again, a great job this season. I know the team took third in state last year overall for the girls, with only 4 girls placing. Sounds like there's a lot more to go around those 4 this year in terms of getting points at state, perhaps an overall team state champion as well. So we look forward to seeing what the 2 of you can do along with the rest of your Royal teammates. Rita, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Malia,
Thank
thank
you,
you very
Steve.
much. Keep watching this year. We'll continue to talk about the Royals track and field team all through the season. And sticking with our track theme today, 2 more track members from the Edmonds School District. This time we've got Meadowdale Mavericks with us. Harry White, Kristin Yim are both joining us right now. Thank you both for coming in today. Exciting things for both of you on the track this year. Harry, we'll start with you. Talk a little bit about I know you took 5th last year in the 300 hurdles. Talk to me a little bit about the events that you're participating in this year.
Yeah, so I'm doing the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles again. Earlier in the semester, I dislocated my finger and sprained my ankle. So kind of coming back from that has been kind of a challenge, but you know, it just kind of takes time. So I missed 3 weeks. And yeah, so I'm just trying to come back, you know, get back in my rhythm, technique work, all that kind of stuff, and looking to finish the season pretty strong.
Now, you mentioned coming off of an injury. Noticed it's affected the times a little bit too, but you're starting to get those down, right? I know you had a big weekend this weekend. Talk to me a little bit about the time you put up and what your goals are for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so my PR in the threes is 39.7, and yesterday I ran a 40.3 and got 3rd. I was in one of the slower heats because my seed time was a 41, so I didn't really have that competition to run against. But yeah, so a 40.3, which is pretty good. In the 40s, once you kind of get down into that, it's easy to shave off a second or half second trying to get back in that 39 range.
And getting into that 39 range could be the difference between you finishing 7th or 8th in state and maybe in the top 3, right?
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Now, Kristin, what about you? What events are you partaking in this year? And tell me how that's going for you.
I'm doing sprints and jumps, and right now focusing on the 400 and the 4x4 and high jump.
Okay, so a little bit of everything there. You both took part in the Easton Invitational last week in Snohomish. Kristin, I really want to ask you about this because there was an award there that was, I think, very prestigious, the Tuck Gano Award, which is a citizenship award. Should point out there were over 53, 54 schools participating at that invitational, 1,200 athletes total. They gave that award to 1 female, 1 male. You won the award for the girls. Tell me what that meant to you.
I thought it was really special because I know Tuck was a big figure in the community, and I met his wife after I received the award, and she was very moved and was congratulating me, and it was nice because it wasn't just for track, it was for community stuff and what I've done in school, and I think that's different than what a lot of track is about, which is people like Harry who run really fast and stuff, so I really appreciated it and it meant a lot.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about what got you that award. I know when I'm looking at your resume, it's extremely impressive, to say the least. I think you take 5 AP classes, correct?
Yeah.
You're maintaining a 4.0 GPA. I know while Harry's playing football on Friday nights in the fall, and playing it very well, I might add, you were conducting the pep band,
Yes,
correct?
I was.
And on top of all that, you were, let's see, you played varsity volleyball, you were link crew, debate club, computer science club. Do you have time to sleep at all, or how does this work?
Not really, but I've had to cut out a lot of extra stuff from my life, no Netflix. Sometimes my friends ask me to hang out. It's usually a no. But now it's kind of getting towards the end of senior year, so I have more time on my hands.
You've been doing a great job of everything, really. Got to talk to you, Harry, a little bit about the track family, so to speak. Noticed Mom is in the University of Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. How did she get that honor?
Yeah, so she ran at Craig High School in Wisconsin. Was a 4-time state champion in cross country and the mile. And she decided to go to Arkansas when they were just opening up the female programs there. So she ran the mile there, and she actually currently has the 5th best 1,500 time at 4:37. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, we went back there 2012. We got to fly back. And
Was that when she was inducted into the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame? So now, Mom being a Hall of Fame track athlete, so to speak, what does that do for you? Does she give you a lot of advice as to, I know different events, obviously, and different distances, but I'm sure she's been helpful in the process.
Yeah, she's good with training aspects of it and kind of what to train with. So since I run 3, she's like, you got to run more 4s and more 500s to kind of get the endurance part, but also run 150s and 100s to kind of get the speed part of it down. So, she's
Sure.
good fan.
It helps. You're both seniors this year. You both already decided where you're going to school. I know, Kristin, for you, you're going to Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore.
Yes.
Wow, very impressive, a very prestigious school. What went into that decision for you?
I think the research part of it, they just have a lot of resources available, and I love computer science, but I also think neuroscience is a very interesting topic, and there they have all this amazing stuff going on, looking into like how we can combine computer science and neuroscience, so that was a big part of why I chose Johns Hopkins.
And we mentioned some of the activities you're involved with the school. We didn't mention some of your internships. I believe you've interned for Expedia in the past? And
Yeah, it was a program called Girls Who Code. Basically, I was there for 8 weeks, every day learning how to code, and then at the end I had a big project that I then presented to like Expedia people and like adults, and it was a great experience. And this upcoming summer I'll be at Microsoft as a high school intern doing the same type of thing where I create my project and then have to present it and like what I've learned and like being a part of the industry basically.
so a very busy summer for you coming up, and certainly it's been a busy school year. Harry, you've decided to play football and run track at Western Oregon University. You're not going to be alone though, are you? You've got, I think it's Malik Braxton, Caleb Tingstead, Garrett Walsh from the class of 2015 are already down there. And then Tyree Carson from this year is also joining you. Tell me a little bit about what went into that process and how influential those guys were in getting you down there.
Yeah, so I think it was late November. Myself and Tyree took a visit down there together, and our hosts happened to be Caleb and Malik. So we kind of stayed with them in their dorm room, and they kind of just explained stuff to us, kind of told us about the team, kind of the school aspect of it as well. And, you know, their opinions I value a lot. I've known them pretty much my whole life, so.
So is there a chance that we maybe get the school colors changed to blue for the football season with all those Meadowdale Mavericks out there running around on the gridiron?
I don't know about all that.
We'll keep it. It'll be kind of a Mavs on the side, but it'll be the Wolves now.
Yep.
So going forward, and best of luck to you down there. So again, both of you having great track seasons so far, doing great things in the classroom and outside of it for that matter. Continued success to both of you. Harry, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Kristin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing from these two and to see what they do for the rest of the school year.
I can't believe the quality of academics for some of those track stars, in addition to all of the other things they're doing. I don't know where they find time to do what they do.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. I mean, I think about my own life and how I get sidetracked with one or two things. When you look at somebody like Kristin Yim and what she has going on and what's on her plate, it's astounding, really, that they're able to do what they are.
Yeah, well, she did say she doesn't sleep much, so that's got to be part of it.
Yeah, I need mine. But
yeah. Okay, so we are going to talk about soccer now.
we are, yeah. A nice soccer week for a couple of our schools. Edmonds-Woodway getting a 2-1 victory over Marysville-Pilchuck. And if you might recall, Marysville-Pilchuck running right with Edmonds-Woodway and Lynnwood, along with Glacier Peak for the top 4 spots. So this was a big week for Edmonds-Woodway to get that win. A 2-1 victory, and we have a picture of Ethan Hopkins we're going to put up on the screen. We brought Ethan in a few weeks ago for an interview, and Ethan scored both of the goals for the Warriors in that game. So a nice job for Ethan and his teammates. Lynnwood also going up against Marysville-Pilchuck this week, and they got the 3-0 victory. All 3 goals coming in the first half. And I know this is going to surprise you, Teresa, but all 3 goals accounted for by either Dane Evanger or by Riley Johnson, the 2 Royals players that we brought in a couple weeks ago.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
They seem to score every goal that's or put up there for the Royals, just about. So Dane had 2 goals in that game. Riley had a goal, and he also assisted on both of Dane's goals. So nice job by those 2.
Okay.
And hey, we got to mention a few others too, right? Mountlake Terrace defeating Meadowdale 2-1. And then Meadowdale turned around and defeated Everett. And we have another picture to put up on the screen as Winton Linneman action photo right there. And nice job for the Mavericks. I know it's hasn't been a hugely successful season for them, but they are still fighting for a playoff spot, and more games to come here later on this week. While we're at it, we should mention the top 4 teams on Friday night this week are all going to be going against each other. Glacier Peak against Edmonds-Woodway at Edmonds Stadium at 7:30. That's a rematch of last year's district championship game that Glacier Peak won in a shootout. And then Shorewood is playing at Lynnwood. That's also at 7:30 Friday night. So those 2 games will go a long ways in determining where those 4 teams are placed by next week.
Okay, well, get out and support your local soccer teams if you have a Friday night free.
Definitely.
All right. So interestingly enough, we got an email earlier from a fan who watches the show who said she was disappointed that we didn't do more coverage of golf.
And we've been working on it too. We have an interview coming up here in a moment with Mikey Jenson. And in fairness, we've been trying to get Mikey in here. We normally broadcast these or we record these on Sundays, and Mikey works at a golf course at Inglewood. So yeah, right. Yeah, it seems to fit. So we've been trying to get Mikey in here and just working with his schedule. We did finally get him in this week, and we'll talk to him in just a moment. But also want to give a nice shout out to Morgan Rode from Meadowdale, who shot a 40 against Edmonds-Woodway this week and medaled in that particular event. And then we did have the Edmonds District Championships for the boys. Mikey Jenson shooting a 68, defeated Matt Cooper, who was in second place. He shot a 74. We brought Mikey in because he is, in fact, trying to get to state for the third time in his career. He's a senior this year. Talked to him a little bit about winning the district championship, as well as other things going on with his life and in terms of what the rest of the season looks like. Here's that interview with Mikey Jenson. And now we have our first golf interview of the season for this week in high school sports. And if you're going to do golf right off the bat, you've got to bring in the district champion, and that's what we have right here. Mikey Jenson from Mountlake Terrace High School, the brand new district champion, I should mention, after this week. You shot a 68 over at, I believe it was Lynnwood earlier this week. You won by 6 strokes.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a picture we can put up right there if we may. You and your mom and dad, Ken and Cheryl. Talk to me a little bit about what that was like to win that championship this week.
I've been playing good all year, so I was kind of expecting to get first place, and I just played really good and got first place.
Now you mentioned your front nine was a little bit rougher than your back nine. Were you a little concerned at that point that maybe it was slipping away, or did you still know you had it?
Yeah, I was hitting way right every time in the trees, and somehow I was getting pars. And I was like 3 over on the front side, and then played pretty good on the back. Had a double bogey, but I had a few birdies to make up for it.
And you shot 3 over for the tournament,
Yep,
I believe,
3
right?
over.
Now you did play in another match earlier in the week, and you shot par in a 9-hole at Nile, right? Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep,
So-
got first base on that one too.
So Mikey's having a pretty good year so far this year. Should ask you a little bit too. State coming up. You were a state participant in both your sophomore and your junior years. Very impressive to get there as a sophomore. I know you mentioned earlier when we were talking off camera, you had a little bit of a rough year at state last season. Tell me a little bit about what your expectations are. I know you've got to get through districts first, but certainly your score looks like it's going to get you there. What are you hoping for later on this season?
I'm hoping to place top 15 in state because it's pretty hard to place golf in state because it's just all one instead of different like events. So top 15 would be pretty cool. Last year, I was really nervous and I just blew up on the course.
So we're hoping to not repeat that this year. Certainly you're hoping to improve on that, and it would be great to see you get a top 15.
Yeah.
I know not the first time I've interviewed you. We had you as one of our players of the game during football season.
The Mariner game?
The Mariner game, that's right. Mikey quarterbacked the Mountlake Terrace football team. Football and golf, quite the contrast in terms of one's such a physical sport, one's a sport of deep concentration. Tell me a little bit about what goes into your preparation for both, and if it's the same mentality or if you have to kind of retrain your mind in the way in which you prepare to get ready for an event.
Well, football is all adrenaline and teamwork, so in practice we work as team, try and get flowing together as one. In golf, I just kind of focus on myself and try and relax and just try and make the good swing. Because if I get adrenaline pumping in golf, I'll start hitting it everywhere.
Sure. Now you mentioned teamwork. Last year, your main teammate or your biggest competitor on the golf course was your brother Matt. Matt has since graduated. Tell me a little bit about this year's team. I know you mentioned that one other golfer on the team in particular is somebody you tend to have a little fun with out on the course. Who are you competing with this year?
Me and Miles Allen, we play football together, known each other for a while. We've been playing pretty good this year golf-wise, and I just try and play against them every day in practice and make each other better. There
we go. Should mention also you're going to Central next year, but you're not going to be playing golf there. Central Washington University, a lot of great golf courses out there. You going to still try to hit the links occasionally when you're going to school?
Yeah, I was gonna plan on playing golf there, but it's just a golf club, not a golf team. So I'll still be playing golf, that's for sure.
Okay, and we mentioned earlier you play a lot of golf. Obviously, you work at a golf course, Inglewood Golf Course.
Inglewood Golf Course.
I've got to think that gives you an opportunity to maybe play a little free golf. Do they let you get out there occasionally in between?
Yeah, we get to play after like 5 o'clock every day, and it's kind of nice because members pay a lot, and all the workers get it for free, which is very nice.
Yeah, you'll take that deal anytime. We'll leave Inglewood off the table here because we obviously you might have a little bit of a preference there since you work there.
Yeah.
Outside of Inglewood, favorite golf course?
Walla Walla, Wine Valley. Wine Valley is the golf course.
And this guy knows his golf, so if anybody's looking for a good course, head on over to Walla Walla, play a little bit, and maybe you can shoot like Mikey. Might be a little bit tough though. But hey, Mikey, again, congratulations on a great season. We will definitely be tracking him the rest of the way and reporting on Mikey and hopefully a top 15 at state.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mikey Jensen's headed to Central, and Ellensburg is my old stomping grounds, as you know, and I actually played on that golf course quite a bit growing up.
Yeah, and again, he's not going to play at Central, but he'll go to
Right.
school there. One thing we did point out to Mikey, and I know you know this very well, having grown up there, not exactly a great area to play golf with all that wind, but I'm sure the course is gorgeous nonetheless.
Which may be why Central doesn't have a golf team.
It could be. There is a club team there, but Mikey said
Yeah.
he's probably just going to focus on other things, and it gives him the freedom to go all over Central Washington and maybe even get back over to Walla Walla and play a little more.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, softball, some interesting things happening, and do we need to say anything more than Meadowdale won again?
Well, and Meadowdale won a big one again. This is the game we were circling on the calendar for pretty much since the beginning of the season. Meadowdale versus Everett, the two teams that played each other in the district championship last year. Everett winning that game 15-1. Meadowdale hasn't forgotten. Those two teams, as we mentioned before, too, Everett went on to finish second in state. Meadowdale finished third. Both teams bringing back almost their entire roster. So we knew this was going to be the big game. We knew this was going to be a grudge match, and we were curious as to how it was going to end. It wasn't as close as we were thinking, and if you are a Meadowdale Maverick fan, if you play for that team, your confidence right now has to be at an all-time high, because Meadowdale just came out and they did to Everett what they've been doing to everybody. The final score was 11-1. In the first inning, Emma Helm had a 3-run home run, got the ball rolling, so to speak, no pun intended. And then Meadowdale came out and had a 7-run second inning. Sam Gregoric had a home run in the game. Caitlin Webster, who we've got a picture of, we're going to put up right there. Caitlin went 3 for 3. She scored 3 runs herself. Lauren Dent, who has had a great season with another outstanding pitching performance. Mavericks remain undefeated. They still have yet to have a game in which they've scored below double figures. They've still yet to have a game in which they've allowed their opponents to score more than 4 runs. The Maverick machine right now is just steaming right along, and they are looking awfully tough right now. And it's such a tough conference as it is, but really Meadowdale showing and solidifying themselves right now in that top spot.
Right.
And other games too, we should mention at Mountlake Terrace, a nice week. They got 2 victories. I think we have a picture of Jazz Zink that we'll put up on the screen right now, the sophomore catcher. She had a nice outing against Arlington the other day. They also defeated Marysville-Getchell this week. Edmonds-Woodway also winning 2 games this week over Oak Harbor and Stanwood. So Edmonds-Woodway and Mountlake Terrace kind of running neck and neck for 2nd and 3rd right now. Also want to mention Lynnwood this week. Maddie Morgan, who's the University of Alabama commit, she's been out with an injury. She came back and shut out Marysville-Getchell 15-0. Pitched a 2-hitter in that game, and she had 4 RBI. Wow. So a great week all around for Edmonds School District schools. One of those schools we just mentioned, Edmonds-Woodway, softball, need to talk to them a little bit and find out how things are going, not only so far this season, but what we can expect coming up to end the year and going into districts. And we had an interview with the member of the Warriors softball team, and here's that interview. As we just mentioned, a huge week for the Edmonds-Woodway softball team. 2 nice victories last week. They stand tied in 2nd place right now in the Wesco 3A South, along with Mountlake Terrace. And with us right now, one of those players from the Warriors team, Kendra Cooper. Kendra, you're only a junior. Looking at your team and your starting lineup, a very young team, only 1 senior in the starting lineup, and then only 2 juniors. Everybody else sophomores and freshmen. Are you a little bit surprised at all as to the success that the team has had this year so far?
I don't think, I'm not really surprised about how we've done so far this year. There's a lot of talent, even though they're young girls. They've had a lot of experience playing outside of school ball or on other select teams and organizations. So they bring a lot of experience and a lot of hours on the field and in practice. So I'm not really surprised at all at our results so far this year.
And the fact that, and let's mention the senior in the starting lineup is?
Ari Gerard.
And then the other junior is?
Jackie Lovelace.
So the 3 of you are kind of the elder statesmen, so to speak. Do you find yourselves all kind of more in leadership roles, knowing that everybody else in that starting lineup is a sophomore or a freshman?
Yeah, we definitely are kind of in leadership roles in practice and in games, especially on the field, just trying to teach the younger girls maybe a little bit how the varsity level, I guess, works, because even though they have outside experience, they don't necessarily play at as fast a pace as varsity softball does. So we're just kind of teaching them and helping them and teaching them, I guess, to think the game and learn how to pick up the pace or whatever with what's going on the field.
A young team, but a very experienced team. I think, 13 girls on the team play select ball when they're not playing for the high school team. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a lot of depth as far as girls that play outside of school ball.
Now let's talk about the lineup a little bit. Different players with different roles really on this team. Looking at the stats, I think it's all three of you, the juniors and the seniors, very close in batting average. I think it's 553, 552, and 550. So you're all hitting very well. But really, you all have different roles in terms of how you get on base and how you go about accomplishing getting around the base paths. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Jackie Lovelace is our leadoff batter, so her role is definitely to get on base any way she can, and I think she does that very well. And Ari's role is more of like a cleanup hitter and like get the runs scored after Jackie and some of the other people in front get on base.
And you do a little bit of everything. As a matter of fact, we have a picture of you from the Pink Out game from last Monday, and we'll put that on the screen right now. This is a game in which you defeated Oak Harbor, a game that was raising awareness for breast cancer. And in that game, and I think it was that swing in particular, you had an inside the park grand slam.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often. Tell me a little bit about that at bat.
At that point, I had gone 0-2 in the game so far, so I was just looking to make good contact and try and get on base. And my whole goal was just to like at least get on first and score one run. And then I just put a good swing on a pitch I liked, and that ended up how it worked out.
A lot of traveling around the bases for the entire team. I was noticing earlier a lot of stolen bases too. I think another player we haven't mentioned yet, Sierra, steals a ton of bases as well as Jackie and yourself. Does the coach give you the green light to do that a lot, or are you doing that on your own? What's the situation there for the stolen bases?
For most of the stolen bases, he kind of like lets us see if he thinks we can get there or whatever, and let us use our own judgment on it. But he calls a lot of stolen bases too because he knows how fast, especially CR and Jackie are. So he just tries to take advantage of the speed we have on our team and try and move girls around to get them in better scoring positions for the next batter up.
Sure, and they've been doing that very well, and they need to continue to do that because the schedule doesn't get any easier. Getting ready to go through your second round robin within Wesco 3A South. Again, Meadowdale out in front right now in first place. Mountlake Terrace is tied with you. Glacier Peak just a smidge behind you. Getting one of those top two spots is huge too because it enables you to stay away from Marysville, Pilchuck, and Everett in the first round of districts. Talk to me a little bit about the games coming up. Meadowdale, a team you guys know very well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Meadowdale is a team that we like know what they do and how they work really well because some of us have played with some of the girls on their team. And coming back into like Wesco South and working on like our second round of them, we're just really trying to like show that we've improved in the couple games that we've played the North and really work to get some of the wins back that maybe we didn't get the first time and try and get ourselves set to be in one of the top two spots for districts.
And the lost games, do those always have a little more meaning when you get to play the team the second time around?
Yeah, they definitely do. You definitely want to try and win and get back the loss you had.
And this young lady, by the way, a lot of Edmonds-Woodway pride. We should mention mom and dad are graduates, but not at the same school, correct? Mom went to Edmonds, dad went to Woodway?
Yeah.
And then you've also got a younger brother at the school. Your another cousin, Costa, plays on the Edmonds-Woodway baseball team. It seems like it's an Edmonds-Woodway family.
Yeah, it definitely is. We spend a lot of time at the ball fields, especially at Edmonds.
So come out and watch Kendra and her teammates play. They've got plenty of games coming up. Should be a fun second half of the season, really. And again, trying to get that number 2 spot. It's going to be really exciting. Kendra, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Best of luck to you and the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors for the rest of the season, and we will continue to talk about them every week.
Well, good luck to the Warriors softball team for the rest of the season. It'll be fun to see how all the teams do.
Yeah, and with just a handful of games left, so much posturing going on right now for position. I think we kind of know which teams are in and out of the district playoffs. Now it's just a matter of getting those top 2 spots and really trying to avoid Marysville, Pilchuck, and Everett for the first round anyway, and making it a little bit easier to make that path a little smoother to get to the semifinals.
Right. Okay. Well, what's coming up this week?
Big week coming up, and we mentioned one of them in the interviews earlier. The Lake Washington Invitational is on Saturday, and again, that's where Rita and Malia, our interviews earlier today, along with their teammates Michaela Pivec, Malia's older sister, and Jordan Edwards, are going to attempt to break the 4x800 state record, which was set by Glacier Peak. I think it was 6 years ago. Keep in mind, this is a distance that Rita is not used to running, so she's a little bit nervous, but I think she's going to do great, and the other 3 ladies are more accustomed to running the 800, so it should be a lot of fun to watch them. But really just a lot of big events this week. Softball, we've got Marysville Pilchuck at Mountlake Terrace on Tuesday, a game that we'll broadcast on the Sound Live Sports Network. 2 very evenly matched teams. Later on in the week, Edmonds-Woodway plays at Glacier Peak, and again, those are 2 of the teams that are kind of vying for that number 2 spot along with Mountlake Terrace. And then on Friday, Mountlake Terrace gets their last shot against Meadowdale in the regular season. It could be a preview of a matchup later on to come in the districts, but one last go around with Meadowdale for Mountlake Terrace, for better or for worse for them, and that game is at Meadowdale. Should also mention that some big baseball games coming up this week, as we've got Glacier Peak and Edmonds-Woodway playing a 3-game series. These are the final 3 games of the year for Edmonds-Woodway, who will have the bye week the following week. And then Shorewood plays against Lynnwood, and 2 of those games, Tuesday and Friday, will be at Lynnwood, with Shorewood having a home game in between. Lynnwood, along with a handful of other teams, trailing Shorewood by 3 games in the loss column. So if Lynnwood can somehow sweep Shorewood in that series, things could get very interesting for baseball.
Very good. Well, we'll keep you posted. We'll see you again next week, and thanks for joining us.